What you're about to hear may permanently change the way you see life and death, and I need you to listen carefully. Because what if you are not moving toward the afterlife? What if you are already inside it? What if what we call life is not the full spectrum of reality, but a restricted mode of consciousness, like an airplane mode for the soul, where perception is narrowed, filtered, compressed? What if the body is not the creator of awareness, but its limiter? Take a breath. This idea did not emerge from mystics in caves or gurus on mountaintops. It came from researchers willing to ask forbidden questions. Scientists like Dr. Hiroshi Motoyama and Dr. Masaru Emoto, men who stepped into territories Western science hesitates even to acknowledge. And what they explored threatens the foundation of everything we've been taught about existence. Motoyama spent decades studying bioenergetic fields, using a device designed to measure subtle energy patterns around the human body. What he observed was unsettling. When biological activity ceased, the measurable energetic patterns did not simply vanish. They changed. They became more subtle, as if something had withdrawn from the physical layer, but continued operating elsewhere. Now pause. If consciousness were merely a byproduct of brain chemistry, its signature should disappear when the brain shuts down. But that's not what certain observations suggest. And then there is Masaru Emoto, whose controversial experiments showed that water, which makes up over 70% of the human body, appears to respond to intention and emotion. Words associated with love produced symmetrical crystalline structures. Words associated with hatred produced chaotic distortions, mocked by some, questioned by many. But the core implication remains disturbing to a strictly materialist worldview. How does matter respond to intention? How does something physical reorganize itself around something invisible? Here's where it gets even deeper. Western science largely operates under a Cartesian assumption. Consciousness is produced by the brain. Neurons fire, chemistry happens, awareness emerges. But there is a problem no laboratory has conclusively solved. How does unconscious matter create conscious experience? How do atoms, with no inner awareness, generate love, fear, imagination, self-reflection? No equation has fully answered that. Now consider the reverse possibility. What if consciousness is fundamental? What if the brain is not the producer, but the receiver? Think of a radio. If you smash the radio, the music stops playing through it, but the signal itself hasn't ceased to exist. The receiver is damaged, not the broadcast. What if the body functions the same way? This reframes everything. The strange intuition that someone is about to call, and then your phone rings. The deep inner warning that prevents you from entering a dangerous situation. The powerful déjà vu that feels like a memory you never consciously formed. Coincidence? Or non-local awareness leaking through the filter? Now let's step into territory even more unsettling. Near-death experiences. There are documented cases of individuals reporting detailed observations of events occurring while their brains showed little to no measurable activity. Conversations in adjacent rooms, objects placed out of sight, verifiable details later confirmed. Are all of them hallucinations? Possibly some are, but not all accounts fit comfortably into that explanation. If even a fraction are accurate, the implications are enormous, because it would mean consciousness can operate independent of normal sensory input, independent of a fully active brain, independent of the body. And if that is true, then death, as we define it, is not annihilation. It is transition, or perhaps more accurately, release. Now let's interrupt the pattern. Close your eyes for a moment, not literally, but internally. Notice the awareness reading these words. That awareness does not have age, it does not have nationality, it does not have a visible shape. It simply is. Your body has changed since childhood. Your personality has evolved. Your beliefs have shifted. But the silent witness behind all those changes feels the same. What if that witness is closer to what you are than the body carrying it? Some meditative traditions describe profound states in which the sense of a separate self dissolves. Modern neuroscience observes that during deep meditation, activity in the brain's default mode network, associated with the sense of ego identity, decreases dramatically. When that internal narrator quiets, people report unity, expansion, timelessness, not hallucination, clarity, as if the filter temporarily thins. And here's the paradox. The same body that restricts consciousness can also act as a portal. Through breathwork, silence, fasting, meditation, focused intention, the interference lowers, the signal strengthens, and in those openings, something leaks through. Synchronicities, lucid dreams, moments of overwhelming presence. They may not be glitches, they may be glimpses. Now ask yourself something honest. If consciousness survives bodily death, if you are not a body generating awareness, but awareness temporarily using a body, why is this perspective treated as taboo? Why is it ridiculed, dismissed, or ignored? The answer may not be purely scientific. It may be structural. Entire systems rely on the fear of death. Religious institutions promise salvation from annihilation. Political systems leverage fear of instability and loss. Economic systems feed on urgency, scarcity, the anxiety of limited time. If you believe you are a fragile organism racing against expiration, you are easier to control. You consume more, you obey more, you fear more. But what happens if you deeply understand, not intellectually, but experientially, that you are not temporary in the way you were told? If death is not extinction, but transition, fear loses leverage, manipulation loses power. You stop optimizing your life around survival alone. You begin living with depth instead of desperation. This does not make you reckless. It makes you free. And here's the most surprising part. Understanding yourself as consciousness does not diminish life. It intensifies it. Every moment becomes sacred. Every interaction becomes meaningful. Because you are not trying to outrun death. You are exploring existence. When you stop fleeing the end, you begin inhabiting the present. The body becomes an instrument, not an identity, a lens, not the source. And when the lens eventually dissolves, what remains is not void, but continuity. If this sounds radical, ask yourself why it feels strangely familiar, why deep meditation feels like remembering, why certain encounters feel timeless, why in moments of profound silence, something inside you whispers, this is more real. Maybe you are not imagining. Maybe you are recalling, not recalling an event, but recalling your nature. You are not a machine trying to become spiritual. You are consciousness temporarily operating a biological interface, and that changes everything. It changes how you relate to fear, how you relate to loss, how you relate to purpose. Because if you are eternal awareness, temporarily embodied, then the goal of life is not mere survival. It is awakening before the body powers down, awakening to what you already are. Now here is the question that matters most. If you are already living within what some would call the afterlife, experiencing reality through a narrowed filter, what will you do with that realization? Will you continue playing small, chasing distractions, optimizing the machine while neglecting the signal? Or will you begin exploring the deeper layers available to you now? You do not have to believe anything blindly. You do not have to reject science. You simply have to remain open to the possibility that the current model is incomplete. History has shown us repeatedly that what seems certain today becomes primitive tomorrow. And perhaps the next great shift is not technological, but existential. If you made it this far, that already tells me something about you. You are willing to question, willing to explore, willing to sit with uncomfortable possibilities. And that is where real awakening begins. So here is a simple experiment. Tonight, before you sleep, observe the awareness behind your thoughts, not the thoughts themselves, the observer. Notice how it remains even as images change, memories surface, emotions fluctuate. That silent witness may be the one thing that does not die. And if that is true, then life is not a countdown. It is a chapter. And you are not walking toward the afterlife. You are consciousness, already inside it, temporarily playing human. The only question left is, now that you see the possibility, will you live differently?